All right, we have a lot going on here in studio, so I usually don't let the music play that long. That's not what you're supposed to do in radio. But Jeff Jones is here, award-winning pit master, and then he's got his award-winning rubs and sauces, joneseq.com, and he's cooking elk burgers for us on the Gourmet Guru Grill. And all of a sudden, somebody popped a Modelo, and this is where we are on a Thursday. So hang in there. There's no telling where this show will go or this next interview. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools, 4 locations, downtown Jackson, Gluckstadt, Tupelo, and Atlanta. Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. We welcome in Cole Cubelic, Jocks in Birmingham, SEC Network, played ball at Auburn, and Cole joins us on the Modelo guest line. Cole, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Bo. Good to be with you.
Cole, it's National Burrito Day. Do you like burritos?
You know, I'm not much of a burrito guy. It's not that I'm an anti-burrito guy. It's just I kind of have my go-to when I eat Mexican food. It's I usually like chicken or steak, soft tacos, and a lot of chips and salsa. Like you cannot replenish the basket and fill up the salsa enough.
I'm with you.
So I usually just go ahead and say, when they go down first, just say, we're going to need another basket and another round of salsa if you don't mind. You get some queso. I got a little spot here in Homewood named Tostadas. They have Coneca queso.
Ooh.
And if your listeners don't know what Coneca sausage is, you need to, because it's the greatest food you'll ever put in your mouth. But, yeah, I'm usually more just like a standard taco guy. I might go quesadilla every now and then, but I'm not anti-burrito, just not super into them.
No, we can work with all that. I'm good with that. And you throw in a Modelo, which is a partner of ours, with a lime, and we're with you. I got to hit that place in Homewood, evidently. I don't know if we're going to have SEC Media Days or not this year. I hope we do.
You will have SEC Media Days. I don't know what that will happen. It's going to be back in Hoover, and I don't know exactly what attendance / participation is going to look like from the media. Is this going to be limited? If it's going to be there at all? As far as, us doing our radio shows there or print media, I don't know exactly how that part's going to work, but you're going to have SEC Media Days. Okay.
Well, I saw they canceled Destin, which, dadgum, I just went Bobby Bowden, but that's such a fun time in Sandestin, so I'm hoping that maybe, I got to where, Cole, it's so funny. I bet you can attest to this in life. I had SEC Media Days fatigue. Okay. After doing it several years, I finally got to the point where I'd only go over there for one night, and that was just to see buddies and go to dinner and have some drinks. And I'd do the show from the hotel room and drive back. But early on, 03, 4, 5, 6, man, I'd go the whole damn week, And now you take it away from us, and I'm like, man, I kind of want SEC Media Days.
Well, I think the first part about that, and I'm with you, there are parts of it that you get towards the end of that week and you're just like, man, I want to go home.
Right.
I want to sleep in my own bed. I want to have to not, stand around the lobby for 7 hours a day. But as you know, especially for anybody listening to your show that wants to get into this business one day, that is networking mecca.
Yeah.
And if you are someone who wants to be in sports talk radio in the southeastern footprint of the United States, or you want to cover the SEC, or you want to be in television, or you want to be in print media, that you should be one of those mall walkers, and you should be there at 6 a.m. and you shouldn't leave until there's nobody left walking around. And just introduce yourself, talk to people, ask how you can help, ask what you can do, because the chances that will lead to something for you down the road is about 100%. I still think the benefit that we have for us is what else is going on at that point in the calendar. It's usually All-Star Game weekend, which, I grew up a baseball nerd, and
Me too.
It's almost phased out in my life. I could not tell you the last full baseball game I sat through. I still, if the Yankees are on, I'm going to watch them. I'm not going to watch the entire game because I have 3 kids under 6, and that's just not a feasible thing to do for 4 hours. So it's just not real. But like the All-Star game for me used to be start to finish must-see TV. Couldn't turn it off. Now I kind of don't need it. Home Run Derby, kind of don't really need it. So what else are we going to talk about?
Sure.
For 3-4 hours a day? So we get quotes from all the head coaches. You got players walking around. You got other members of the media saying stuff. You get to kind of have other guys come in and actually sit with you live most of the time instead of being on the phone like this, and it's always more fun doing it that way. So, I mean, it's turned into a gigantic event. I will not be surprised if it goes prime time sometime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really sort of just the next move that makes sense. But yeah, it's content gold, and if you need it to be, it's networking gold at the same time.
I agree with that.
In a time of the calendar when we have to have it, really.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, Jackson, Birmingham, played at Auburn. He joins us on the Modelo guest line. So what do you like to do better? Do you like your radio show better, or do you like TV better? Which one's your favorite?
They both have their benefits, and I think a lot of that would depend on when. Here's the benefit of television is when I'm doing anything via television, it's never downtime. I mean, it's always important, so to speak, which my radio show is important every day. But like we just talked about, the month after SEC media days, I mean, you're kind of stretching for content a little bit. Now, me personally, like pandemic radio, like I loved it. I love just BS radio. Like, let's come up with something fun that nobody's thinking about. Like, we talked about BMI on my show for about 20, 30 minutes yesterday.
I saw your tweet.
I mean, if that would have just been my show that I used to have in Huntsville, I mean, I would have probably spent an hour and a half on it. Just because, I mean, I can remember Archie Shea and on my show in Huntsville, one of the best segments that we did that turned into almost an hour is like we debated dinosaur fights on the show. So we drafted dinosaurs, and like he took Triceratops, I took Brontosaurus, and like we basically gave our reasons that our dinosaur would win. And it was hilarious. Like, it was stupid, but it was hilarious. So, I mean, I can make it work just about any time. The thing with television is it's always a big deal. It's a live football game. I'm able to see things from a different perspective if I'm at the game. That's always more important. If I'm in studio talking about something, we're either reviewing or previewing something that's important. It's a big deal. It's happening now. So probably television, just because of the moment that I'm usually in, 99.9% of the time, just feels bigger than what it does a lot of the times when I'm doing radio.
No, that makes sense. What was it, Cole Cubelic on the Out of Bounds show, Modelo guest line, SEC Network, Jackson, Birmingham. I'm a big Scott Van Pelt fan, and I love him on TV, but I loved him on radio. It killed me when he left. What was it like to do the Scott Van Pelt show?
Beyond cool, because I'm like you. Whether it was him on his own or he and Rosillo, one of the reasons that I always loved them was, they were kind of the only part of the ESPN radio lineup that taught college football, and you could tell that they watched it because they were passionate about it. We're all kind of the same age. I had the same taste in music as those guys do. I think he and I are sort of self-deprecating in the same ways, or at least a lot of similar ways. And just you see somebody sort of rise to where he is. And I mean, I'll be honest, like I have extremely high goals in life, but there are things that you look at and they just don't really seem attainable. Like I'm never doing Monday Night Football. Like I know that. I'm comfortable saying that. And I'm not mad about that. It's just, I realize that. I would have never told you that I thought I'd be sitting next to him at his desk doing his Sports Center show. Like I just didn't think it was real. And I owe Stanford Steve a gigantic thank you for that. He's the one that went to bat for me. He's the one that fought for me. He's the one that said, we really need to get my guy in here. Like, he knows it better than anybody. He knows these teams better than anybody. And, he's the reason I was able to do it. But, I mean, he is as cool as you would think he is. Like, he is just that guy that you love to sit down at the bar and chop it up with, or you'd love to watch a game with. Probably not a Maryland basketball game, because I think he's a little bit of a different person when he's watching that. But he is, it was just like, it was surreal. I'll say this, like a lot of times we want to know how many people are listening. Like I'm sure you have certain time, like you'll do an interview and you're like, man, I wonder how many people heard that, because that was really good.
Sure.
Like, I do that all the time. Like, I really need a lot of people to have heard that. Or when we're doing a game and I'll do a good hit, or we'll have a great game, and not like the three of us have just collectively a great call and there's a good inning, and you're just thinking, I really hope a lot of people flipped over and saw that, because that was good TV. That was good football. That was a good game. Like, it all came together. Never in my life have I been more assured that a lot of people were watching than when I did his show after the playoff games and after the championship games, because I don't think my phone stopped until about 11:30 the next day. I mean, it was literally rapid fire tweets, texts, calls, got people I hadn't heard from for 10, 15 years. And you're like, okay, now I see why this is the highest rated show that ESPN has from a non-live sporting event perspective, because everybody watches this guy. And it helps to have that audience coming in from the playoffs, but still, it was a surreal, very cool moment that hopefully we'll get to do again. I've done it a few times since, did it during the pandemic, and did a little XFL hit when I was up there before that. And, this last football season was obviously very different, but hopefully we're getting back to normal and can do it again.
Yeah, man. SVP's a dude. Iconic. When I toured the Golf Channel a couple years ago, I got to see where they started when he was there in like 2001 or 2 or something. And Cole, you would not believe the room. It's as big as a closet. The room that the Golf Channel started in, where he and Dan Mullen's wife and all that crew, it's crazy. And now he's, like you said, he's the dude on ESPN. So what do you?
There's one of his podcasts out there. If you can go back and find it, I don't know exactly which one it is, but he talks about, I think he's in Vegas for a tournament, and he legitimately runs out of money. Like, he's done, he's out, and he's like, well, we had a good run, and it was fun while we did it. And then, a couple things happened, and he ended up catching on with ESPN, and the rest is history. But yeah, it's an amazing story to think about where he came from and where he is now.
It is. So what you're doing a lot of cool stuff. We just mentioned some of it: SEC Network, Jocks, all that. You're doing more sideline than play-by-play. Is the next step for Cole Cubelic you want to do full-time booth play-by-play?
Color, not play-by-play.
I'm sorry, color. Yeah.
No, it's all good. I mean, listen, I did play-by-play during the Mississippi State-Kentucky game from the sideline when
that's
Tom
right,
Hart's
when
power
you lost. I remember that. I was watching that game. And you handled it well.
By the way, I have pitched it to them for me to do that for an entire game, and maybe not like a regular season game, but
that would be great.
Do like a mega cast or something like that. Like, just give me a camera, give me a handheld, give me a microphone, and let's just tell people what I see from down there.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can make that happen one day. I think the natural progression obviously is to be in the booth. A lot of it has to do with who I'm with. Like, if I'm with Jordan and Tom, I really don't mind staying down there. I don't mind staying down there at all.
That's a good team,
especially with those two, because we have those guys have legitimately become my family. Tom knows my wife. Tom knows my kids. He comes by my house when he's driving to Starkville to do games, or coming to Birmingham to go to Tuscaloosa and do a game, like when we were doing that. Those guys are my extended family. You're with them as much as you are. You talk to them as much as you do. Those guys know more about me than a lot of my old friends do, just because I've spent so much time with them. And those games are so much fun with those guys. Like, it's just, I rarely walk away with any complaints or hard feelings, or, not feeling satisfied or vilified with what we did. Like, it's an easy product to share with everybody else involved. And that's not something that a lot of crews have.
Sure.
There's a lot of crews that don't even get along. Like, they don't want to hang out with the guys that they have. Like, we like to get to where we're going early and stay late so we can hang out a little bit more. But the natural progression is to be up there. And I feel like a big portion of my value is that I see the game in a very different way. And there are a lot of things that I miss when I'm on the sideline. There are a lot of things that I can't see that I would love to explain to people. And I would love to try to help people understand how and why they happen, that a lot of other folks don't spend time on. A lot of the quarterbacks are, when you hear them calling a game, they'll be like, oh, so-and-so, nice move off the end to get there. Or, oh, left guard just gets beat. And it's like, no, man, it didn't happen that way. There's actually a reason that rusher was able to come free. Or no, they actually didn't have enough bodies to pick up the protection, or the way they slid the protection, they weren't going to be able to pick that up. Or, there was a move that got the guy beat, or there was a flaw in the tackle's technique as to why he got beat. Like, I love pointing that stuff out because it's rarely focused on and discussed. So I feel like I call the game in a little bit of a different way. Some people don't like it. I've had some of my bosses text me at certain times and be like, dude, you just had a 45 pass to the tight end. You're talking about the left tackle. And I'm like, they don't make that pass if the left tackle doesn't do what he did. So, I know you want to follow the ball. You want that. You want the highlight part of that play, but I'm giving you why the play was actually able to be successful, because that play doesn't go if he doesn't come off that block and pick up that blitzer. Like, that's just the reality of it. So I mean, I feel like hopefully one day that'll happen. I'm not sitting here, banging on the door saying it has to happen right this second, because I do like the guys that I'm with now. But it's ever changing. I just want to do more. I mean, my desire is to do more. I want to do more in studio. I want to do more games. I want to do games during the week. I want to do multiple games. Like I want to work, and that has been my sales pitch to everybody at ESPN since I've gotten there. Is just put me to work. You want me to go cover something else? I mean, hell, I'll do sideline for basketball if you want me to. I'll go stand in a baseball field and give you some commentary what I see from baseball. Like I just want to do more, and as long as I'm getting opportunities to do more, I'm going to be happy.
Well, you're doing a great job. Cole Cubelic with the SEC Network, ESPN, on the Modelo guest line. Played at Auburn, Jackson, Birmingham, too. Has a show there midday. Look, man, I could see you on – I think a spot would be game day set at some point. That would be cool. I think you'd bring a lot to the table because you're fun, like you said, a little different, self-deprecating. But anyway, Blake, you've got a question for Cole Cubelic?
Yeah, Cole. As someone who has done play-by-play, and I love I love the game broadcast and all that kind of thing, and this is right up my alley. I actually enjoy broadcasts. I enjoy when you have good characters and good environment and good personality in the booth, as opposed to, I know some people just want to watch the game and not listen to it. So as someone who is doing what you do, can you give me a name or two of some people that you look up at and you go, I emulate my game, not sideline reporting necessarily, but like my booth calls. I enjoy this broadcast. I like listening to them. I'd like to emulate some of that. And then secondly, who are some of the people that you'd like to work with as your play-by-play guy? Obviously, Tom Hart would be one, I know, because of your relationship. Dude, but maybe outside of Tom, are there some people where you go, man, I'd love to call a game with that guy? Because I think of Nance and Romo. That marriage has become so popular. Just something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get into my next contract to get away from Tom Hart as much as possible because of the amount of babysitting that we have to do for him as high maintenance as he is on the road.
Fantastic.
So we're trying to move away from that one. But you know what? One of my favorite quotes that I've ever gotten was from my buddy Conrad Thompson. He told me every great idea is stolen. And there are a lot of people that I watch, that I enjoy, that I like. I think Herb Street's great. He catches a lot of flack, but if you actually listen to what he's saying during the game, he explains things very well. I think McElroy does an amazing job. I think Collinsworth does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I still go back and I try to find YouTube clips of Madden when he was calling games because you talked about the entertainment aspect of it, having fun. I still want to be that person when I'm calling a game. Like we had this kid, I did Sanford games this spring, and there was a kid from Western Carolina I think his name was Raekwon Smith. And, he made catch over the middle, and I legitimately I'm like, man, how great has the name Raekwon become? Like when I was rolling around listening to Only for Cuban Links when I was at Auburn in my, Chevy pickup, like I never thought that one of the Wu-Tang Clan members would have we got Raekwon Jones, we got Raekwon Davis, we got Raekwon McMillan. Like we just went through the entire Wu-Tang Clan on the air. Like I want to have fun like that. I want to do cool things like that. Like we haven't gotten a RZA, we haven't gotten a Jizza. We're not going to get an Old Dirty. I don't know if I can say it on the show or not, so I'm stay away from that. Like there's no Method Man out there. There's no You God. But Raekwon is all over the place, and no one would have ever thought that. We don't have a Ghostface Killah playing football anywhere, but maybe one day we will. So I want to have fun like that. I want to do fun things like that. And I watch Joe Klatt at Fox. He does some great things. Like when Orlovsky calls a game, some of the way he breaks down quarterback play. Jordan Rodgers does a great job. I try to take things from him.
Sure.
So, I think there's value in almost everybody. And I almost watch a game, or I guess listen to a game, to try to take things from other people. I almost watching it like I'm dissecting film. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take that from that guy, and I'm going to put my twist on it a little bit and try to use that, because I think that's the only way you get better is to find – I know I'm not good with coverage, and I know I'm not good with routes. So, if Jordan's saying something, or McElroy's calling a game, or Orlovsky's calling a game, or Collinsworth's focused on that, I know they know it better than I do, and especially with defensive guys, because – let's be honest, there's not a ton of dudes that play defense that are calling games. So when those guys are calling a game, I love to listen to it to just get that perspective, because we don't get it very much. Yeah. I like to hear what would be going through their mind, because we don't get a lot of that. Guys I'd like to work with, man, there's a lot of guys that, that aren't with us anymore that I would have loved to have worked with. Somewhere I'll be in number one just because I loved him in Madden so much. I'm a big Dick Enberg fan.
Yes.
That's not a name that usually is at the top of people's lists, but I grew up in a tennis household. My dad was a big tennis fan. Like breakfast at Wimbledon was a huge deal for us. You know, the U.S. Open was a big deal for us. And Enberg used to be one of the voices of tennis. And then people don't realize it, he actually called a lot of football. And then, of course, did Major League Baseball, did Padres games for a long time. Yep. I just always thought his voice was iconic. Like he was one that was always towards the top of my list. But, you know, as far as guys that are doing it these days, and like I've never called a game with Adam Amin. I would love to call a game with Adam Amin. I worked with Joe Davis a long time ago. I'd love to get back with Joe Davis and do another game. We did Sunbelt games together, and now the guy's doing Dodger games, and you know, Fox's like number 2 football game. So
how cool is that?
There's good play-by-play guys out there. Yeah, I mean, I mean, you just talk about like paying your dues and putting your time in. I did Sunbelt for 3 years. My first, and this is for CSS, which, as you guys know, is no longer around. My first year was Joe Davis, who does Dodger games. He took over for Vin Scully, and he does Dodger games and does Fox, NFL, and college football. He was doing Montgomery Biscuits and CSS. My second year was Joe Block, who is now one of the play-by-play voices of the Milwaukee Brewers, TV and radio. They rotate back and forth. And my third year was with a guy named Tom Dorr, who was actually featured in the Jordan documentary over the quarantine. You know, he was the guy at the scores table that Jordan would go over to and kind of like do the LeBron clap with the thing, and they had their masks on at one point in time. You know, he called like 3 Bulls titles for WGN, and so he and I have gotten to be good friends. And Tom Dorr, he played basketball at Missouri and called Bulls games for a while, spent a little bit of time in the NBA. So it's like, I mean, I got to know all 3 of those guys just doing those games. It's pretty cool to kind of sit back and think about that.
Man, I could go on, but I've got a break. Golly, next time, first of all, that was a lot of fun to talk about the business in a fun way. Next time, we'll get into a little QB discussion. And it was interesting what Tom Luganville, his thoughts on Mac Jones. I want to bounce it off of you on the air. He's not sold. Mentioned that Mac did pre-snap RPOs through Sark's offense and completed 95% of those passes. Didn't have to go through progressions, and he's for him that's a concern at the NFL level. But be good, keep up the good work. Let's do it again sooner than later. Cole.
Sounds good, Bo. Thank you very much.
See you, buddy. Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, Jackson, Birmingham. Played at Auburn. He joined us on the Modelo guest line. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. This is the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Ace Bolt & Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools, and their new retail location, Gluckstadt, Madison County. #1 fastener distributor in the Southeast. AceBolt.net. Ace Bolt & Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. Jeff Jones is in the house. We're going to smash some elk burgers in about 20 minutes on the Out of Bounds Show.